welcome to All Things Talk and everything else in between.
Now that's That was nice.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Guys, welcome again to another episode of All Things Talk, where we basically talk about the uncomfortable truths and nothing but the uncomfortable truth. And today, as usual,
it's nothing but. What about the everything else in between?
Oh, actually, and everything else in between. It's nothing but the truth and everything else in between. Actually, guys, we also do talk about everything else in between.
Reason why Lebu is so heated about this topic is because we're in the month, the Human Rights Month, or it's the month of human rights.
Yes.
What do you call it? How do you say it properly?
Human Rights Month.
Human Rights
Okay.
Month.
Yeah,
We're in Human Rights Month.
Yes.
And as you may all know, Human Rights Day is on the 21st of March in South Africa. So the whole of March, it will be conversations about human rights and so forth. And I just want to read a couple of human rights before we actually touch on the topic, because so many of our rights are just being trampled on.
So we gotta get our facts straight.
Yeah. So the first one, I'll read equality first. Everyone is equal before the law and may not be discriminated against unfairly. Everyone has inherent human dignity, which must be respected. And then everybody has freedom of expression, so you have the right to speak or express yourself on whatever you choose, but hate speech is not allowed at all. Okay. And then there's also rights about labor laws or labor relations. Every worker and employer has the right to organize and negotiate to further their aims. And then what else? There's quite a bit, guys. Housing, you have the right to have access to adequate housing. Education, you have the right to receive basic education. Children, every child has the right to a name, nationality, and protection from abuse and exploitation. Guys, there's so many rights. Freedom of association, you have the right to associate with anyone. What else? Oh my gosh, so many. And access to information, freedom of movement and residence. Healthcare, the most important one. Healthcare, food, water, and social security. You have the right to access to healthcare, adequate food, water, and social security. There's quite a bit, but those are the couples to take it on Ibalang. Since it is Human Rights Day, we'd like to know. Another thing. With rights, there's responsibility.
Yes. For every right, there is a responsibility.
There is a responsibility.
As much as we have rights, but there is something that is expected of you in order for the right to actually be able to apply. You must also apply the responsibility as well, because it's not just one road. It's like, I say one way in and so you literally have to give in order for you to get. So right now we're basically going to be talking about some of these rights, especially the ones that are close, like that hit home. Honestly, right now, because we are in South Africa right now, and for anyone who lives in South Africa, they know like the most iffy topic that's just making us nar. Guys, load shedding. Load shedding, guys. Like, it's so unnecessary. It is so unnecessary. Like,
because we have the right to like basic services or what is it?
Guys, it's so
service delivery
and all of that. So by the mere fact that go stage 6 of load shedding, and some areas don't even, I don't think there are some areas that telling notifications that the electricity is gonna go off, unless if that now is happening nationally. And then sometimes whereas we have the right to access to water and so forth.
And guys, for those who don't know load shedding, by the way, if you are watching from somewhere where load shedding maybe something new to you, load shedding basically it's when the government schedules to cut off your electricity for a certain period of time in order for them to stabilize the grid. We don't understand why is the grid not stabilized. We don't understand, because firstly, you know what you're working with, you know how to calculate the risk, you know how to cover it's like a SWOT analysis, or when you're running a business, you know some of the do's, the don'ts, the disadvantages, the pros, the cons, and so forth. Why is it that you don't actually plan ahead? So with us, with load shedding right now, guys, it's at 4 hours a day. Not even just 4 hours a day. I'm lying. It's 8 hours a day, 4 hours at a time.
But do you know that
at a time.
the State of the Nation address, so our president mentioned some of the stations were not being maintained, and that is one of the effects of the reason why we have load shedding right now. It's because some of the stations were not being maintained.
But the thing is,
and there's obviously corruption.
We've had it for such a long
decade,
time.
dude.
For a very long time. Why
since 2000 and
problem even now.
And I don't understand how.
I think since 2008 or 18.
But like, how is it that right now our stations are not maintained or fixed? Like, I don't understand. Firstly, there is a whole department that ensures that like a maintenance department. I know for sure that they have a maintenance department. So you're telling me that whole department has just been null. They've just not been doing their job since 2008 to this day. These people have not been doing their jobs, but they've been getting paid every single month.
Maybe they forgot to read the Bill of Rights, because now, I mean, I'm pretty sure we have the right to.
That could be the only thing that explains it, honestly.
Yes. Because now, what happens to us and having the right to access to water? You know, what happens now with us having the right to access to housing? Because sewage drain and whatnot are not being maintained, you find that some areas get flooded.
I honestly feel like it has to do with the fact that, guys, putting incompetent people in positions that are really important to the economy, because like essentially, guys, it's like in any company. If right now your boss is someone who doesn't even know what you do, doesn't even know how to do your job, doesn't even know how to even manage you, how will you be like how will the company actually like operate if firstly they like we don't even like it's like a broken telephone. It's like you don't even know how to run the country, but you want to run the country, and here we are electing you because you said you can do this, and then the next thing when you get to that position you don't do what you're supposed to do. It's like you're being hired for this job, you said you do this when you get that job, and then the next thing when you get that job now you forget your duties and responsibilities. Hence I'm saying with the rights, the same thing we were talking about, that you have rights, yes, but there's responsibilities, and unfortunately right now the people who are in charge of ensuring that our rights are met and we on our end live up to the responsibilities, unfortunately they're not competent people, unfortunately.
I was actually also thinking, and it's the question I was asking myself since you guys started talking about this, like what is the responsibility of a citizen gay?
Like how, like for example, as like for just to make an example,
to not be wasteful,
to not be
like for that, like don't leave the lights on if you're not at home. You know, that is your responsibility as a citizen. Don't leave the water running. Don't waste water. Don't water your plants. You know, because we know evaporation is a thing. Like water in the morning before ilanga liba khona, or later on in the afternoon. That would be the responsibility in terms of us having access to water and us saving water.
And
we have the right to access to water, but then we have the responsibility to also save water.
We have the you have the right to go to school, but the responsibility for you to actually attend school, understand and apply your mind. That's your responsibility.
And behave as a student.
Because singakhalaza city izinto zenzeki and everything, but nathi if we don't do our part, then that's nothing's happening. And I also feel like Nazi as citizens, we're also a bit ignorant in that sense.
Because there is access to information and everybody has the right.
Exactly, it's been said like a lot of times. We've been told all of this a lot of times, but we're just like, no, this is supposed to be provided for me, without actually knowing your responsibility. So
I guess it also goes back to the fact that with the general knowledge that we have, you know, when you go to school and so forth, guys, like I know for sure that if you went through the school system or you went to school, you know about the rights. It's just that we weren't interested enough, I guess, when they were teaching us about rights and responsibilities. but for sure I know we were taught about rights and responsibilities.
No, we were got life in life orientation.
Yes, they taught us about rights and responsibilities, all of them, guys. And even if you get the Constitution, the bill thingy, the preamble or they like in everything that you basically need to know as a but which then takes us back to the very same thing that we were talking about, that in order for me to feel responsible, there has to be a school available that I will be able to actually apply whatever is taught there, and it has to be a conducive environment for me to be able to learn. So now you find that right now that right is given, but it's not fully, like it's not the full right, because now
there's always red tape, it is said that we have the right to education, right? And then a parent from Bulgarishaning takes their kid to a multiracial school, and then they turn the kid down because they're like, you are not from this particular community. Whereas you find that child is excellent and they would really do well for themselves, for the school, and so forth.
Why we discriminate?
So why, even Gabo and Esfas, like I feel like even there's so much red tape, because we know that there's a gray area in terms of middle class and people living in poverty, in low income homes. It's like, okay, now because now my family makes more than how much
3.5.
Now it is thought, okay, my parents can afford to take me to university and so forth.
The household earns more than 3.5, guys, like 3.5.
And whereas we know that life right now is expensive, like our economy, guys, it's crazy.
Things are expensive.
Things are expensive,
like ridiculously expensive.
Like
guys.
Food is expensive.
Water, lights, utility bills.
We're spending so much more on paying for petrol now because of load shedding.
Imagine.
We burn more gas while we stuck because of load shedding now, and then
and guys, it's even worse because like recently right now, not only do we have problems with electricity, but recently the most basic and the most like for us to live, literally just for us to live, water, guys, like clean water. Like right now, guys, we don't have clean tap running water. We don't have that. Literally the last time I opened my tap, literally I was about to drink water. I'm lying. I wasn't about to drink water. My sister drank water and was like, sis, this water tastes different. I tasted the water. It tasted like it had some metal thing, like We took a glass, we poured the water. Hey guys, guess what we found? I'm actually gonna insert a video. Guys, there were small living organisms inside the water.
Oh my gosh,
small living organisms, like guys, demover, it's a white thing inside tap water, running tap water.
So you remind me,
boil water before we drink it.
No, guys, here's the thing. My city because sesa vula amanzi angithi, and sometimes like awunaki. Thola amanzi sibeka amanzi. My city sibeka ekedeleni, guys. Khona izinto eziwhite and it's those things lezo sizithole ngaphakathi kwamanzi, guys. And at the water, it's like it's the same thing nalento ukuthi mavula amanzi bese amanzi amhlophe nalento le yakhona le. I don't understand why is it that like I feel like a safety precaution measure that the government needs to take. If you guys are cleaning the water, you cannot let the water out. Why would you actually even open the pipes or wherever the water comes from? Close it if you guys are cleaning it, and if you like,
but then people are also gonna complain.
Like my thing is
notice, yes.
Gonna complain because you guys.
Another plan or plan, you know, it's my right to put a man's but
why cases in my office in Gesolanda man's. Like for example, guys, like honestly speaking, I kind of feel like the people who are at the top, who are the ones who are calling or pulling all the strings, they are not affected by load shedding. They are not affected by dirty running water. They're not affected by that because with water, they drink bottled water. Trust. And not only that, with electricity, they have generators, they have solar systems, they have, like, you understand? So this is like, it doesn't affect them, but the low income homes, it affects us. And guess what? We're the same people that pay tax. Come on, like, how can my tax make you live nice there, and then the next thing guys? Like, does that make sense? It's like a boss they're living their life.
But unfortunately, not all of us Mali from Isasa.
Mara guys, Isasa honestly speaking, like when you think about guys, nakona Isasa guys, like guys, yini 350, yini 450,
yini 450. Honestly, what is it?
Current high cost of living.
With everything
guys.
so expensive
Like,
now.
you need 350.
Anyway, there's this photo that I saw doing the rounds on social media. Ya pipe engwe elungore ba ichincha in that particular community. I'll share it with you if I find it. And then how that pipe, it was so dirty. Like in tea, like it had all of this khaha like in there. Like you could literally just scrape it off. It looked so nasty. Now that you're talking about water, I'm having that image in my head now. Like it just came back and I'm just like, oh my gosh, maybe.
Imagine. And some people actually experienced like they had blue water, guys. Blue water. There's this girl on social media. Her name is Faroza. Y'all know her, Faroza. Yes.
Yeah.
She even posted. She even put the blue water inside this other like just to make fun of it because it was like a TikTok video. Uguti, I could literally take this tap water and put it in here and people would think it's like some nice drink. Like some nice blue something. Blue water.
It's bad, y'all.
Guys.
Also,
like,
red.
and it's
because you've had people saying it was brown, it was white, and now it was blue.
Guys, and it come to think of it. Then they are bonus guys, like somehow. Yes, guys, guys. Hey,
and COVID, and it worked.
It killed a lot of people. And guys, here's my thing. My thing is, guys, because the same people that are creating the problems are the same ones that and it's so sad because it's almost like they create a problem and then they the same ones that can only come up with the solution to the problem you have.
It's like a trap.
But have you heard of the electricity solution? There's going to be a minister of electricity, guys. Apparently.
We don't need a minister of we don't need a minister of freaking electricity, guys.
Man.
That's the solution. Someone needs, guys. A new minister means that someone has to get paid.
Someone has to get paid. That's what I'm thinking.
Secondly, that means that someone is going to be pushing corruption again.
And it means somebody who was responsible for the electricity was not being audited. So now the question is this now minister of electricity going to be audited? Nah.
Where are the people?
Lawyer is gonna live, breathe, eat electricity. That's why also focus us solely on that.
Guys,
oh my god, this is really starting to sound like a character from a Melville.
Imagine, bruh. Imagine our savior of electricity, our savior.
Oh my god,
this is ridiculous.
The electric man.
Oh yes, really.
This is ridiculous, guys, and it's so sad because like in this day and age that we live in, you'd expect that from where we come from as a country, you know, celebrating things like Human Rights Month, you'd expect us to really like have done or have, you know, create like rights in done so much, you know what I mean? And we literally had the whole world looking at us with, okay, let's see what South Africa's gonna do. Like even when Mandela passed away, like the whole country, it's like the whole world was just like, yo guys, shame man, like South Africa, guys, like whatever.
Is there still hope though? Like I think a lot of citizens are losing hope.
Guys, you know, honestly, it's all in our hands.
Because yes, we have all of these rights and all of these amazing things, all of these amazing laws, you know, access to this, access to that, rights to this, rights to that. But then again, is it just on paper?
Yeah, it's on paper.
Yeah,
it's literally.
Because I don't feel like we are exercising it. I don't feel like the government is exercising it. Like, you know, even for Lorona, when you're going to complain about maybe Mtlakase or water or housing or whatnot, we like most people that are striking or are protesting or are demonstrating usually get into trouble because of that. Yes, we understand that people to be honest, and whatnot. Hey, but the reason why it even gets to that level is because when we do exercise our rights by demonstrating peacefully, writing the memorandum of understanding or the petitions and so forth, nobody listens.
They get
ignored. So it means our rights are getting ignored. And then now it's like, what's the next step? How do we escalate?
Yeah, how do we make them actually listen?
Now, guys,
pay attention.
Tell me, guys, since we are here and we are part of the future, because right now, guys, everything is in our hands, literally, because we are at an age where we are the prime of our country right now. As the youth, we the prime of our country. Like, we are the savior that our country is waiting for. Right now, just from the top of our heads, like, with the current problems that we have, current status of our country, human rights, just everything, corruption, socioeconomic issues and stuff like that. What do you guys think? Like, could be the solution to this? Like, if you were perhaps the minister of or the president of South Africa, what could you possibly do differently from what the current president is doing now or the current cabinet is doing now?
Sure. Well, I guess their jobs are really difficult.
It's
like, imagine Rika Moko South Africa, 5-point-something million, you know. So imagine trying to ensure that 5-point-something million people in a country are satisfied. You know, not everybody's going to get satisfied. Even from the three of us, if something happens, we're not all going to be happy about whatever it is. We're all going to have our different thoughts, different ways that we want it to happen and so forth. So I'm saying it's not difficult. So for us to say, I would do this, I would do that, it would, I don't know, to a certain degree be unfair, because we don't even know like some of the stuff that they go through, or some of the stuff that they took from our history or that we inherited as South Africa that they're still dealing with now, that now it keeps on growing and growing and growing because Skabodi, the stations, they didn't get maintained, and now it's a big issue. So now it's a contentious issue because it wasn't getting maintained. So we don't know when we got into power
29 years ago.
You know, 29 years ago, what was happening there in terms of the administration? Because back then there was no access to information, and now we have this access to information. We know who's doing corruption, we know who's doing this, who's doing that, and so forth, and it can be fixed.
That's true.
I was actually thinking that, but like if they could just, we understand there's a lot of people and everything in the country, but if they could just try and not do this corruption so blatantly, because it is so blatant, it's like live straight in our faces. Even with all this information out there now, people are just like, I'm doing whatever. It's really that.
I think
the most thing that bothers.
We also need to think about, firstly, guys, as much as right now, we are the future, as old as we Tinapela, we're not that far from, we almost the same. Like, considering the fact that we are as old as democracy or just slightly older than democracy, what I'm saying is the knowledge that we've acquired within this 29 years of democracy, guys. You telling me, Uguti, when if you were placed right now in that position, let's say for example the stations were not maintained, what would, obviously when you it's almost like when you start a new job and they do a handover, whether it's whether the condition or the administration of whatever it is that you're being handed over to, the content of what you're being handed over to, or whatever layer, even if it's bad or good, you still have to come up, because now you are the person who's assumed the position, you have to come up with a contingency plan as to how this will work,
or a strategy
moving forward, how this is going to work. And if obviously you feel like you don't have the capacity to do that, you need to obviously give the position to somebody else. My problem is we have people who have assumed that position and they see that this is beyond my means. They don't then say, okay, you know what, let me give someone else an opportunity to try fix this, because this is not just about us. This is about the 5 millions of people in the country. And if Minangi one, I cannot solve this, and then let me give it to someone else who can try to do that. Like this whole electricity thing, guys. I go to, there's no pioneers. I go to, there's no one who's
but they're only implementing that now, do you know that?
My thing is, ideas have come up like time and time again, guys. There's a lot of engineers, there's a lot of pioneers, there's a lot of people coming up with innovative ideas about how we can actually like come up with alternative ways of electricity, like getting electricity. But those ideas just get, shut down, you know what I mean? And they don't get researched. That's okay, fine, you know what, let's actually try to see
but let's backtrack, because Google State of the Nation, they announced they are going to look into new ways of generating electricity, because now, before then, it was because, or the reason why these were not implemented was because of the red tape. So now they're looking into removing all the red tape that is not allowing or enabling them to fix this electricity crisis. They also spoke about this woman, Simama Nkosi, who has this great idea, satellites and whatnot. So that is being tried and tested, but only now is my issue. And they're saying, let's look at what's going to happen 18 months from now. I mean, we had
29 years.
The thing is, we've been dealing with this electricity crisis for long now, for more than 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. So you can imagine at the time, whereas we do have engineers, we have experts in South Africa, and it could have been fixed.
I think also, guys, like
or avoided.
I guess it goes back to your sentiments, what you mentioned, Uguti. you know, like when you assume a position, you don't know what's, you know, like at hand or like what's waiting for you there. I think also it has to do with the fact that the number of people abakhona manje, apartheid is different to how we're living right now. Like before democracy and after democracy, I kind of feel like there were less people who were using electricity before apartheid because of how the rules were, how we were segregated, nani. So there were less people using electricity, especially amongst, you know, our people.
Yeah.
So the demand was not as high. So therefore the grid could be stabilized because then it was monitored.
Yes.
And we know that other people of other colors, they pay, they don't play around like that. You know what I mean? Because they know you pay, you get what you want. And guys, somehow, let's not also forget the fact that right now when we look at the Eskom bill, electricity of our municipality, guys,
400 billion.
Oh my God, that's so
plus,
nice.
we need 400 plus billion.
Here's my thing, guys. Here's my thing. Eskom ne ikolota imali ngako. Eskom ayisebenzisi leyo gas leyo. Yithi esikolota that money. Because here's my thing, guys. My thing is that as much as Nazi self sabantu that we believe in rights, load shedding, somehow, guys, our government also has been lenient on us. And when I say us, I'm talking about the people in the township.
The people that don't pay electricity. There's people in the township that pay electricity.
There's people that pay.
The majority don't pay.
Majority of the municipalities. Okay, guys, I'm saying
that way.
I'm a municipality that, guys, that like it bill Eskom. I'm municipalities that owe a lot of money, guys. Pretoria and Soweto. Yo, guys, it's like it got to a point where Eskom literally told Igame, guys, because it's affecting everyone.
Oh my gosh,
it's affecting everyone. They even came up with amalona. What do you call this? Like okay, since okay, at least 500 here.
Yeah,
but in order for you to pay us 500, season 5 prepaid meters.
Yeah.
Accumulate even more debt.
Yes.
Whilst you guys are paying us that 500 rand, nina nizozikhokhela wenu guess, because
mara still umuntu omnyama uzotsipha.
They were talking to these people in the townships here, because you pass the street, baba, you see there. Amakawash was a gas, la panasa, one about you to keep guess what we open felt don't
ask us where we know these places from.
Actually, I was okay. Where are these places? Let us expose them.
Guys.
Come on, guys. I did not
suffer together.
Go to Slow, go to Togoza, go to Soweto, go to Alex, bro. You will see is in your specifically for the people in the township. I'm not gonna lie to you, because they want to the way by a corner. These are the ones that we know.
Now what about
okay. Mina, the hoods that I know that I've went to that have.
What about Kruger's Dorp?
Every township.
Exactly. Now you are mentioning our township.
Every township.
Everyone.
Almost every township has that place. What my friend is talking about the whole. There's some places that simply because of the rights of housing being taken away from us and you're not being allocated easily because you don't have the money to bribe an official who is in charge of issuing out amalona, title deed. So now you're going to lose your house. People resort to actually moving to informal settlements or informal land that is not actually designated for people to live in. Hence, floods, because
abana access to running water, abana the toilet, abana mutakas.
Because guys, the one thing I don't know about my people, man, they make a better plan. Like, you know, our people like, I think that's also like, it's something because maybe that's because one thing I noticed about Indabale housing dog, like once you get into a house like illegal and stuff like that, the government has no right to take you out. They have to find you an alternative place.
Are you serious?
Yeah, if you've lived for a period of time,
that's what I know.
And even if you were living there illegally, even if you were living there illegally,
still, that is
now the government. So now it's like now they found a loophole as to how they can actually acquire houses. That time, they're still waiting for.
So like if I'd move overseas and leave my house here, I don't have children, I don't have family here.
I wonder if they use the same.
Like I'm just going there for business, and then after 10 years I come back. I found my house.
RDP. Well, first,
I can't have it back.
RDP. Aye, my girl, no RDP unless if you leave it with someone who maintains it. Because now they have what you call amalon. So what they do is with the people that they give RDP, which is like for low income homes. They subsidize. It's like subsidized homes, basically RDPs in South Africa. So what they do is every 2 to 3 years, officials randomly come and check if umuntu is the same one who's on the title deed. And if it's not the same person, they might give it to the person who lives there.
What?
To the person who lives there, because clearly that person needs it more than you do.
But what if maybe I didn't get letter ya ka ya hore se ke na le ntlo, and then mankwatha fitla dule mola nna ntse ke sa tsebe hore ke na le ntlo tse ke dula yes, because I didn't get any SMS, any call, any type of notification to tell me with my house say iphumile, you know. That's the part. And then ufitla di officially di fitle mola di thole smanyamanya sa dula mo, and I'm just like, well, I didn't know. I didn't get any notification.
It goes back to that thing, guys. You have the right to housing, they'll give you the RDP, but it's your responsibility to go to the municipality offices to go check if your house is out there.
But how often?
As often as you want, babes. As long as you have not.
You know what? It's alostro. You know what? I feel like no, honestly, I feel like they must improve. Just the government or municipalities and so forth improve. Please, there are ways.
Radio station.
There are ways. Public service announcement. SMS.
I'm 350 more saying US and
USD.
There's ways to go on Google.
And you have notified.
This one, the most important housing.
And guys, corruption is so mina manje nye every month baze badineke uzokhathala nawe uzokhathala nawe ukuthi uyokudini ngilibelekile ulahlala ke tshepo ka maka entla ka nna guys batantshela.
That's true, guys. Manje, okay, how do we live with this, guys? Like thina sabazali, thina abantwana bethu, okay, thina ke mase kuthiwa ke manje angithi ngiya understand ukuthi vela sazi izinto like we don't know something.
The things we don't know.
Right now, if we were sitting right now with maybe cabinet members, but guys, just give us what's on your mind. What could we possibly do? Just not the actual thing to execute and eradicate, no, but a step forward to at least eliminating some of the ills within, our government.
I'd say ningajaheli moto zomtlakasi because loadshedding is real in South Africa.
Honestly,
they're going to introduce electric cars. They want us to move with first world countries. We are a third world country in a load shedding.
Suffering.
And then we just
very hard.
A stage of disaster. Our country.
Imagine you drive on freeway la bayana with your electric cars.
Guys.
And you get load shedding.
That would be the new excuse. I'm 17, but my car was low. Load shedding. I
couldn't charge my phone. I couldn't charge my car because of load shedding. So I'm sorry, I can't come to work today.
I can't come to you. My car's flat. Now my taxi now.
Just be careful. What you doing, y'all? Just be careful.
Like, not from my side. I kind of feel like what the government should be doing in order for maybe to just take a step forward towards maybe eliminating some of the things that are happening that we're not happy about. Like, for example, having more of open discussions. Like right now we have social media, having more open discussions with relevant people, going around finding people who are community leaders, people who have a stake and have influence and have the skills and capabilities of actually carrying out certain things to be done. Once the open discussion with them, like on a monthly basis, to find out what's happening on the ground. What could we do differently on the ground? Because it's not even a matter of just spreading it like one, but literally starting with one. Like for example, Tina guys, municipalities like Ekurhuleni guys. Ekurhuleni is doing the most. gosh, okay, but yeah, like we slowly getting there. We're not saying that everything is fine, but we're just saying they're doing something. Like things to, like they literally have to have open discussions about unemployment, about in each municipality. Even if it means they need to compete with each other, and then there's a municipality that will win something, and something will be done for them. Guys, we like incentives. Like literally, they must use not just our emotions, but as to how we can all together to basically make sure that our country is not a banana republic.
Man,
you know what I mean? I feel like our voices also need to be heard, and our voices can only be heard through our labantu electayo that are competent people. Like Batubai Loring, they'll be able to carry the job, and with like banga influencing easily like abantu abazi ukuthi bazelela, and they're just gonna do that, and you know, without thinking about man.
Now we do need good leadership.
We really do.
When I see
really
one.
do.
yeah, well, sorry, y'all. I hadn't
Okay, maybe let's ask this question. See, which human rights are you embracing now when I'm in general? I feel like with this channel, some of the rights esizenzayo or esiziembraceayo khona manje is freedom of expression. I mean, we're using our channel to express ukuthi nasifila kanjani about certain things.
Freedom of speech.
Yeah, freedom of speech.
And I believe it can be informative sometimes. Maybe.
Exactly. So we're giving you access to information. Yeah. And another freedom I think is embraceayo, especially now on our channel, is that whenever we're going to talk about certain topics that we feel we need to do research on, we read it exactly as is from whatever platform esifundayo, of which give freedom, the right to access to information.
Yes.
So that's the one of the other rights that we're embracing. Which other
all
one?
the time. Like it's mostly that freedom of speech, us basically,
and equality, because I think we give each other enough space to say whatever you want to say.
Definitely do. And we also kind of like we also highlight, I guess it has to, I think the association part, like associate with whoever it is.
Yes.
With what we do and what we wanna do. Anyway, guys, we've spoken for so long. Guys.
Yeah, but guys, as much as the is aguna hope, there is some sort of hope. Know your rights, know your responsibilities, and then celebrate human rights. It's Human Rights Month. Learn about your rights, and then nipeg in your communities wherever you are. The rights talona body hatella kapojang, and do not allow
responsibility.
And know your responsibility, and let's allow about the lady rights talona. We live in a democratic country,
hello. So guys, do make sure please to like, subscribe, and share the content with whoever it is that you feel actually they might resonate with what we spoke about. Thank you so much to those who have watched the channel. This has been great.
Happy Human Rights Month!
Yes. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next show or next episode.
Yes.
Or next one.
And everything else in between.